Loud. There we go. Still kind of adding people in, so give me one more minute. My little helper that's supposed to be here with me right now to help me do this isn't here. It's all good. Welcome, America. I don't see everybody quite this moment. I've got myself pinned, but I will open up the gallery in just a minute. Hello. All righty, let me shut down the music. Okay. Love that. Okay, we're getting ready. Recording is happening. We're in the chat. Good morning. I did have a little thing here, but it didn't get up yet. So, in the chat, please say hello, introduce yourself. Where are you coming from? I'm in Melissa, Texas. Just moved to Texas 7 months ago. So we are in the middle of some new weather. Hello, Cassie. Who you are, where you're coming from. And then do me a favor. If you've worked with me before, a lot of you, we have 17 women registered. Feels so good to have people like, women going like, yeah, this is good. This is what I'm asking for. And yeah. And if you've worked with me before, and that can be just a yes or whatever. Okay, so let's get started. All righty. See, I'm still adding people. Zoom entered. I lead a women's book study on Monday, and we had a little fun visitor the other day. And sometimes that happens when you're not expecting it. So I'm not sure who that Zoom user is, but we should be okay. All righty. So I'm going to say hello again to America, Elena, Cassie, Kim, America, and I think I've said hello to everybody. I'm not sure who the Zoom user is, but we will watch that. Okay. Well, welcome. We are here for emotional chaos to calm, confidence, and clarity. Does that sound good to everybody? All right. We have allotted 90 minutes for this class. And we won't go that long, but just know that that's the space that I have set up for here. Have water with you because the work that we're doing, you're moving energy, you're changing, you're shifting, and becoming aware of a lot of things. So I have notes. And the reason I have notes is because I like to talk. And if I don't have my notes in front of me, I might go like this because that's how my brain works, a little all over the place. So it's not that I can't teach all this without anything in front of me. It's literally just wanting to stay on focus and so that you guys get what you need from the class. So let me share. Why don't we all just take a breath too and settle into like everything that you've expected this class to be, everything you've expected this class to be. Would you let that go? Because when we set up for an expectation of something, you can only allow that to come into your world. So if we let go of our expectations and our projections, there's so much more possible. Okay. I'm trying to get up my little screen here for my, give me 1 second. 1 second, please. 1 second, please. How come this is, you know how many times you practice for something and then you go to get it? And adding her. And you practice a million times and then all of a sudden it's not there. But it is. It's weird because I kind of have two Zoom rooms open, which doesn't make any sense. Okay, so we are sharing the screen. I'm going to stop and get my little folder up in front of me. Share. There we go. That opened at that time. Of course, it was supposed to just pop up, but it didn't. You excited? I'm excited. One of the things I have learned in my life, which is one of the things that has created so much calm in my life today, is that I don't have to do anything right anymore. So if you come from the place of like having to do everything perfect, this is a place where you don't have to do that anymore. So, and that's what's happening right this moment. We're just going to go with this screen. How's that? Okay. So welcome to Emotional Chaos, to calm, confidence, and clarity, and what actually creates change. And my name is Lene with Growth Junkie Coaching. And I'm just going to pull those up every once in a while just to get us grounded. So let's start with my little notes here to keep us on focus. And this class is going to be a space where you don't have to do a lot of writing. I want you to be present in your body. I want even the uncomfortableness that you might experience, like I'm missing something, I need to get it, I'm doing it wrong, I need to write my notes, because so many of us have been trained to do it that way. And what I want to remind you all is this is not a linear class. The work I do is not linear. It is deeper. It hits the body. It hits the nervous system. It's hitting the energy. So just giving your space to allow yourself during this class to breathe and be aware. So what is emotional chaos? Getting into my notes here. When I use the word emotional chaos, when I set up this class, I was like, is that going to be a word that's going to describe what I want to share in here? Are women going to relate to what that is? And then not go into the wrongness of like, there's something wrong with me because I'm having emotional chaos. What I refer to is what I really want you to know. The way I'm referring it is that your life, it's not our lives are falling apart. Okay. Been there, not there, done the work, but what is still going on? Okay. It is most of the women I work with, and I will speak from this place of this is all work I've done. Okay. What I've done, what I've done, passed on to many, many clients over the last, 6 years, and then put it all together in the classes. So it's like, most of the women that I work with are functioning, super capable, most of the time over the top brilliant, and all of that, but still having, which I'm kind of describing myself a little bit at the beginning, like you're able to create things and things are happening, but it looks good on the outside, but on the inside, something's off. Okay. So I describe emotional chaos for this class and for yourself is that it's quieter. It's this part that what's happening on the inside of your system because you're trying to hold on to everything. Okay. So it can't quite be explained. It's just this, layer of, for me, it's always been described as, I would describe it as this internal humming. Ring, ring. Even if I was sleeping, ring. So today we have more clarity. I have more clarity. We as a culture have more clarity. And 2020 is when they really started to talk about the nervous system more. Nothing new. I've done nervous system work from the beginning of my recovery journey, internal humming. I'll try to read the notes, but I back and forth. But Kim, is that internal? Is that was where something I thought was wrong with me. Like, how do I fix that on the outside? But it's our nervous system. Okay. Here's how also emotional chaos shows up for myself, because I'm speaking for myself and for my clients. Overthinking with just simple decisions. Like you can't make a decision. Okay. Replaying the conversation over and over and over again. Okay. These are all loops that are happening. Okay. Feeling reactive, then judging yourself for reacting, and then judging yourself for judging yourself for judging yourself. That big loop, that judgment loop is literally in my life is what's almost killed me through my life, is literally that internal judgment loop. And I didn't know that I could actually get rid of it. And I have. Knowing what you want to do, but not being able to access it. This happens to be a lot with women that I work with business. Okay. What's going on in your life, in your nervous system, in your energy is 100% showing up in your business. Okay. So knowing what to do, but you can't access it. Keeping calm one moment and then totally unsettled the next. Okay. And holding it together eternally and externally while feeling internally tight, constricted, foods popping out this way, body, there's like all this other stuff going on. But I want us to be aware of like, what do I experience in my body most of the time? And mine was contraction and the hum. So I'm here to say that when we get to learn more about that and what's happening there, we get to eliminate that. So most women don't call this emotional chaos, but that's how I described it. It's really just this internal loop. You might call it you're busy, you're tired, or you're stressed. Quick personal story about the judgment loop for me. I have a book that I'm writing and it's called Drop the Judgment, because it's funny. I've done classes and I've asked the girls, oddly, do you guys feel judgment too? Like I've literally asked classes while I'm teaching them, thinking I'm the only one that's stuck in that judgment loop. And it's so funny because of course that's not true. But that judgment loop was this cycle, a pattern that was built into my system. Let me see how I can explain it really quick and to see if you can get that, is that I judged myself. And the more that I judged myself, the more I created. So I used judgment to create. And I kind of really became aware of that when I started coaching 5-6 years ago, was like, what am I doing with this judgment? If I get out of the judgment of the wrongness of me, which is mostly what my clients do, always they're wrong, is my husband's coming in for the phone, is that the judgment is that I would create shit, really big shit, so that I could overcome it, so that I would have my Wonder Woman cape on, and then I would judge myself more to create more. So I don't know if anybody can relate to, that was one of my biggest judgment cycles. Okay. In what I know in emotional chaos is with women is it's freaking exhausting. The internal nervous system activation, functioning, living in fear, shame, blame, judgment, all these lower energies is exhausting. And that's where our energy is leaking everywhere. That's where it's just kind of a little bit of a hot mess. But the cool part is when we become aware of a little bit of the hot mess and the stuff that's going on, that what you have been doing has gotten you to this place of like, wow, there is more that I can choose in my life to have more ease, happiness, joyous and free, all the different little things we can say. So I just want you to know that you're not wrong. The whole class is going to be about you're not wrong. At least that was mine. What am I wrong? What am I doing wrong? I'm doing everything right. Why don't I feel right in whatever that is? It's that your system is stuck in a pattern, and it's stuck in a lot of patterns and it's stuck in a different pattern in every pattern in a different area. And one of the things that women always will come to any class I teach is when it's about money. Everybody wants more money or to understand money. And it's never about money. You will always hear me say that. It's about our inability to receive. But our systems are so stuck in not being able to receive because we're in such protection mode. Okay. So, and that's the work that I do in my Aligned Women's program. I am going to speak to that because if you're like, you know what, I like this, where do I go with it? I think my shirt's buttoned incorrectly, but that's okay. If you see it's crooked, I just went down to the bottom. I'm like, okay. So anyway, it doesn't matter. I will be talking about that just a little bit. So with that, if you recognize yourself any of this, again, I said, I want you to know there's nothing wrong with you. I want you to be in the space of like, what else is possible here? I love to teach my clients to ask this question of what's right about this instead of the wrongness. What's right about this that I'm not getting? And that's not a linear question. We're not looking for an answer. We're allowing it to be a question because questions create answers, like disempower, it shrinks us. It's like, what's right about all of this that I haven't acknowledged yet? So that's going to be one of your questions you're going to walk away with. Okay, so let's go into, click that off. Why are we still reacting? I'm supposed to pull up this little slide. You know how many classes I've taught, and then you get stuck on this little slide thing. And you're like, well, oh no, I'm actually supposed to tell you why I do this work. Why do I do this work? Because awareness without regulation keeps women stuck. Most women will say they're stuck because you feel stuck, because your body's stuck. Everything's stuck. But awareness without the regulation is what starts to unstick us. Why I started this work and who am I and why do I do this work is on Saturday, I have 36 years of sobriety. I will be celebrating my birthday. And so my personal journey and transformational work, the dive in, started 36 years ago. I started the journey of what, and what else is possible. And very quickly is from that work, I was in corporate America. I think it's kind of cool for you to know a little bit from where I come from, like doing the corporate world. I was a regional vice president of a mortgage company. I did that for 10 years. In my eating disorder, binging and purging, drinking, wondering, you look back and you're like, how did I do that? And then you start to become aware of like, wow, my nervous system started. Well, our nervous system gets started when we're little itty bitty, when we start to get programmed and start believing things, our energy, all that. But when you go back and you go, wow, look how far you've come. But is your nervous system still functioning from those places? And it is, until we clear it, until we reset it, until we understand it. So corporate America, then I got into recovery. Then I went into healing work, and Healing Hands was my business. And I worked with women and did body work, did my clairvoyant training, worked with women in and out of recovery. And I had to give up my healing work, my massage, my clairvoyant work, because my body couldn't do it anymore. Again, wrecking my nervous system. Because when you attach money to survival. It's a whole, I'm able to look at that now. I left that, asked the universe, God, what do you want me to do next? He dropped Mary Kay into my world, literally. And I spent, well, still 20 plus years in Mary Kay, helping women create businesses. Alrighty. Why I left that 6 years ago was because I can see where women are stopping themselves. I can see it. It's one of my gifts. It's like there, 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 and there. And I was watching hundreds, if thousands plus women get stuck, get stuck, get stuck. And as a director, that was not my job, earning 11 free cars, all of that. My job was not to go, this is what's going on. Let's fix this so that you can have that. But the level of having for most women and receiving is very, very low because of the way our nervous system is and the way that our energy is contracted. So I stepped away from that career. People thought I was crazy because I had built this organization, and that's where Growth Junkie Coaching started. So what I know today in my journey in teaching is that I kind of had some of this backwards. Well, we didn't know what we didn't know until we know it. Growth work today is nervous system work, energetic work, which shifts the identity. Okay. It's kind of bottoms up. For a long time, we were doing it all different ways. So if we have not really repatterned, even understood how our nervous system is, we are always hitting this. What's wrong with me? Why can't I get further? And, I think about 15, 20 years ago, that's the question I had. I'm doing everything right, doing recovery right. I'm doing everything right, but I still don't feel right. So I wrote this down, is awareness alone doesn't settle our system. And that's not a personal failure. Awareness, doing all the right stuff, but it was the system. Okay. So why are we still reacting? Why are we still reacting? So everywhere that you are in the wrongness of why you're still reacting, I want you just to let that melt away. Let that be in a space of like, the reacting is the body telling you you're out of alignment. But most of us go to not the awareness place of like, wow, my body's actually talking to me, versus because most of us are cut off from here. I can only speak for myself, but living up here, not wanting to attach to what's going on in my body. But just being in that place of like, wait a minute, I'm still reacting. What is my body telling me? Is it safe to actually go to the place to understand what's happening to my body? Which is why I do know the work that I do with the women. I'm super grateful because you have to be able to trust the facilitator, for someone to take you to that place. Some of my clients call me an energy therapist. I am doing therapeutic work. We are. But we're doing it from an energy level, which allows us not to go into the deep feelings and the deepness of it. We get to move it very quickly. Okay, so let's do this. If you've done therapy, like I've said, you've done recovery, you've read the books, you've got umpteen million classes you've taken, you've become more aware. So we want to acknowledge that. I have 4 pillars that I teach, and you can take these as part of like adding them to your awareness, is that learning to be aware and expanding on that, but I'm aware. And then being aware without going into judgment. Because a lot of times we'll have that moment of like, oh shit, oh no, that's what I'm doing. And this is where most people will stop right there. Because I'm aware, I'm not willing to do. But if we do awareness, and then we go into my second A, and that's allowance. Allowance is a word that I didn't even know existed until about 5 years ago. I didn't know that I could actually be an allowance of what I was choosing, what I was creating, what I was experiencing. It was just judgment. So awareness, allowance, and People who have done a lot of healing work have learned how to have boundaries and have learned how to do acceptance. Okay. Acceptance is something that happens in the nervous system that we put up this place. I accept it, but I don't really accept it, but I'm going to pretend like I'm going to accept it. So then the whole nervous system is trying to figure out something that you don't really accept, but you've accepted it. And why is everything crunchy? Okay. So I use the word allowance, allowing it to flow. And then we go into my third A, which is asking questions. And they're not questions that we were ever taught or we know how to ask them. They're questions where there's no conclusion, there's no expectation, there's no projection, there's no how to get it right, to get it wrong. Because in this work, in this type of growth work, I'm not looking for answers. I'm wanting and teaching how to be in this space of like, I don't have an answer here, but what am I aware of? And then from there, my fourth A is now taking the aligned action, which is a process because that is not how we have normally been functioning. There's a problem, I'm wrong, let me fix it, do it, and then the loop. Okay, so awareness, allowance, learning the aligned questions that work for you, and then the aligned action. So, you're not reacting. I'm going to go back to my notes a little bit. You're not reacting because you're not trying hard enough. Okay. And the average of the woman that I work with right now is kind of in that 40 to 70 years old because we have been so programmed and our belief systems, our nervous systems are so set on do it hard, work it hard, make it through, get it done. And because of that, we're magnificent. We're phenomenal because we did learn how to do that. But it's probably not working in the body and the system the way, well, it's not working. And we're becoming aware as a collective society that that is not working anymore. So we're living under this false assumption. Most of us were taught, and I'm reading my notes here, I understand myself better. That's why the name of my company is Growth Junkie Coaching, because I'm an addict. One of the things I learned that I really am addicted to growth. Okay. But I also know that I'm addicted to growth because I keep trying to figure things out. So I've had to learn my own addiction within my own addiction that I'm not drinking, drugging, eating, binging, purging, shopping, but I got addicted to growth. So I get to look at that's not, that's my job. And then I pass it on to you. But I had to look at my own of where my nervous system was set on learning more, learning more. If I figured it out, I could figure out what the F is wrong with me. Okay. But then I go back to what's right about this that I'm not getting. Okay. That takes me back immediately to out of the wrongness, out of this question of like, what's right about this? I want to say insight alone doesn't change a pattern that lives in the body and the nervous system. Okay, this is where the work begins. And I do know that women who work with me are courageous because it does take being willing. Here's a saying I say all the time: everything that you're not willing to know, that you actually know, that if you were willing to know it, it would change your entire life. And that's right where we stop. But if you were willing to know it and allow it, and to let it flow and to have the support and the trust of somebody, we get to re-regulate the nervous system, reset the energy. Then that's where the new identity changes. Okay. So I want to read that again. Insight alone doesn't change a pattern that lives in the body and the nervous system. So that's one of the things in recovery. I love my recovery. I love my program. I love everything about it. But the reason I've stayed 36 years clean and sober is because of the continuous work. It's that right there. So when people say they can't get sober, everybody's got their own journey, but I couldn't change my patterns unless I changed my body and my nervous system and the energy of that. Okay, so know that what's happening is a protective response, the way that we're reacting. Like I did not get that. I did not get that until I got that. And then I got it more and more as I worked with women going, I could see it like immediately. I'm like, oh, that's your protective response. But then learning how to help you see it and then re-regulate. Okay. There's all different types of nervous system work, tons of it. I'm also a body worker. I do body work hands-on for people that are close to me. But awareness is one of the biggest re-regulations, is just being aware of what is happening and not going judgment. Reactivity isn't random. It's not weakness. It's not immaturity. What I wrote, these are my notes. It's a protective response. We just talked about that. I'm not going to go into all of this the nutty stuff because we don't have time, but that's what we go into the Aligned Women's Program. But learning to briefly understand, most people have heard fight, flight, freeze, and fawn. Those are our 4 places. People get really excited with the fawn one because not everybody knows about fawn. And we dip and dive in a lot of them, but I do find that we usually function from one of them particularly. And when it comes to energy work, they're all together, is we either align and agree with something, okay, or we fight and resist. That's kind of the 2 places that we go. I'm a fighter, and we say that in program. I will go down bleeding until I am ready to change something. But that's my response system. Then there's the Al-Anons, the codependents. And I'm not generalizing, but I've worked with a lot who will align and agree to make everything okay. That's the nervous system. Then the energy gets all set. Now your identity is there. And you're like, what the heck? I'm at this age, 60, and I'm still not having the ease and the joy and the freedom. That is totally possible. Okay. So I want you to notice when your system feels overwhelmed, threatened, or pressured, it knows how to default where it goes back to. Okay, that's just an awareness. I go to fight because I don't want to be wrong. Because if I'm wrong, I'm scared. And that's the pattern. That's the work we get to look at. It's like, yeah, just like that's my normal instinct. We've been born, we're brought into a reality that is a right and wrong, good and bad reality. That's what we live in. So we've had to figure, each of us, to figure out where we're going to be in that. And the terrifying judgment fear for me was judgment. If I'm wrong, then I'm wrong. And if I'm wrong, I'm going to die. So it was all this patterning. So every one of us sits in a different spot. But when we start to learn that, we can re-regulate all of that. So what else do I have written here? This is, so again, fight, flight, freeze, fawn can look like we'll default to reacting. That's where this is. How do I stop reacting? We shut down. We over-explain. People please. Or the mental spinning. Okay. I actually know and believe that these are all capacities. These are abilities we have learned and have done very well with them to get us to where we're at, but they're not working anymore. If you're here on the call, you're like, this emotional chaos, which I've called it, I need the calm, confidence, and clarity, and I can't seem to get it. But this is what we're doing. So what else did I write down here? Again, we're learning more about working from the bottom up, the body, the nervous system, energy, and identity. And for a very long time in the coaching field, therapy field, all of that, we kind of had it tweaked. I will say this, and this is the confidence I have today. This is not my notes. I don't know anybody who's teaching all of it together. I don't, but I don't. And so I think that's what I have from my experience. And then sharing it is all 4 systems. And we do that in a 16-week. Each month in the program, we hit body realignment, nervous system and the body, the energy, and the identity. All righty. Where are we now? You can ask questions at the end, so that way I can answer anything. Next, what actually creates change? What creates change? Um, it is an effort, it's regulation, awareness, and choice. So awareness, allowance, asking question, and then the aligned action. It's regulation, awareness, and choice. Okay, that's something that we really focus on in one of the containers is, do you even know that you have choice? We're so stuck in a no choice universe because we're stuck in our bodies and our energy. And to learn, wow, I have choice in every 10 seconds. And that's what I love to teach about. Most of us were taught, I've already reviewed this, most of us were taught change comes from trying harder, understanding more, and fixing what's broken. Okay. I see everybody shaking their head. So it's kind of just exhausting when you think about it. It's like fixing it. And there's not a wrongness with that. Any of us who have been fixing ourselves for this long, what a capacity we have, just to keep on hanging in there to fix it. But what if we're done fixing and now out creating that to do the work that you're being called to do? Okay. I really know that the work that I'm teaching here is for you to take it to the next level of whatever it is that you're being called to do. I absolutely know that because that's what I see all the women doing, going to the next level of what it is that they want in their life and their living. I was originally going to start this class off with a basic question that I ask all of my clients, and I still ask myself to this day, what would I like my life to look like? If you've worked with me from the very beginning, Kim Fraser, whatever, we've been on this journey since we've been on this journey, is like, what would I like my life to look like? None of us actually even have an answer to that until we start asking. We ask and then we do the processes, but our nervous systems will not, our energy will not allow us to have what it is that we're asking for. It won't with ease unless we do this inner work. I am so convicted on that because I just know that. So anyway, that would be a question for you. What would you like your life to look like? Because first of all, we can only see it first. Okay. And then the baggage that we have, we bring it into that visual. What would I like my life to look like? You put it out here, you do your vision board, right? Vision boards are great, but you're not going to get to the vision unless you clear all the stuff in between. So then you pile all your stuff into what I would like it to look like. And then you can expand out and have a little bit more. Okay. Then we go to what would I like my life to be like? This is a process of the new identity of becoming what it would be like. And we have to change all of that. And I am in it today from when I started this work with my coach that I still work with weekly for 6 years on and off, is she asked me that question. And every 6 months, every year, plus, that question keeps expanding. And then I'm in it. Like, this is what I would like my life to be like. And then, like, right now, I'm sitting here in Melissa, Texas, in a brand new house with the man that all of that. I mean, all of it. Sometimes it's really hard to say that without sounding like ego, but that's the work. So what would you like your life to be like? And who do I need to be to have it? That's the work in between. You have this goal. I'm going off my notes. That's why I have notes, but let me pull it. You have these goals, targets, and you can't get them because you have not become what's required to have it. You can't. We haven't expanded. You can because we know how to push, shove, make the shit happen. We are the girls here. Kim's like, yeah. So it's a capacity, push, shove, survival, da da da. But there's just such a new, different way of pulling it all together. Okay, let me get back on my notes. Da, 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 da. When your nervous system is dysregulated, your body is answering for you before your mind ever gets involved. Now, there is really deep emotional nervous system work to do. Totally, if you want to, the somatic, the breath work, all of it's good. All of it's good. But I have found just tapping in enough to have the awareness to bring you from a dysregulated place to a regulated place. And then your system starts to go, ooh, and to catch yourself, that's tremendous work there. So I'm definitely not a somatic healer. Well, that's not true either, but I haven't gone into that work. You are all somatic body healers of yourself, but you just don't know how to do it regulated. Okay. I mean, that's for sure. We all have it. It's not clicking. Okay. So what actually creates the change? We kind of talked about that. All of that is what creates the change. The willingness to be willing to know what it is that you know and be willing to change it. And in order to change it, we have to go through some processes. I wrote down here the pivot. I remember we used to say pivot all the time. Pivot. Change begins when awareness replaces reaction. So when you react, and some of this sounds so like basic 101, but a lot of us don't even know that we're reacting while we're reacting. But if we're reacting and you pause, allow the nervous system, your energy to expand, the new identity of I'm not going to be the person that reacts with this particular thing. I'm aware that my body is going through this. That's all the process so that you can get it real fast. That's when the change happens. Okay. You notice it's happening as it's happening, not after, and then your system starts to reorganize. And that's where the identity shift begins. A lot of people will say, will you do, I want to do identity work. Okay, cool. Let's do identity work, but do you even understand what identity work is? So we have a lot of these words that we're saying out in the coaching healing word, which is fine, but I've really had to, for me, understand what they actually mean. If you've been in any form of recovery, food, anything, drinking, drugs, you have had a lot of identity changes. A lot. And you did them by doing the work, whether it was through step work, a therapist, your spa, all of that, identity work. So you've already done it. And it's not something you go and you do, it's something you become. So now it's what's my next level? And, I'm working with a couple clients right now that I've worked with for a very long time. And people will say, well, why do you keep working? Because people keep wanting to create more. Okay. But they've gotten to these incredible places, like they're just everything they wanted to create, they are there. And their nervous system says, I'm done right now. Like they hit this amazing place. Like, I'll come back when I want more, but right now it's really good. And I'm also inviting both places that even when it's really freaking good, there is so much more available. There is. And that's what, yeah. Okay. That's the pivot. I wrote this down as a note is notice when you can notice what's happening as it's happening and not after, that's when your system starts to reorganize. And that's where the identity shift begins. So the identity isn't who you think you are. It's who your system believes you need to be safe. Again, that's pretty basic when you really say it, but I shouldn't discount that. But it's like your identity isn't who you think you are. So crazy. It's who your system believes you need to be safe. So this is where it goes into coaching business women who have great systems. They know how to get there. They know the structure, but they can't. I mean, this is my story. Can't get there because my system isn't safe. And I spent 20 years in Mary Kay trying to figure out that story. I really did. And we don't know what we need to know until we get to know it. But because science and they were speaking so much more differently about the nervous system, I was like, oh, holy, that's the missing piece. That's the missing piece is the integrate. So anyway, one of the other things you may know this is that I work in the space of questions and not problems. We all have problems. We've all created problems. We create problems to figure out how to get out of problems because that's how some of us do the loop. Okay. So, in order to change your identity, in order to change what you're creating, you have to be willing not to have problems. That's a whole nother amazing things because that's your identity. So, we work from a space of questions. I will get on a call with you girls when I'm girls, ladies, and ask, what would you like to get from this call? What would you like to receive? What would you like to have? Because if we go to the problem, we're stuck, the energy's stuck, everything's stuck. And then I spend all my time, your money, trying to pull you out of the stuckness. We're not in stuckness. We are in what else is possible here space. So working with the questions, not answers. Answers lock us in to what we already know. That's the right and wrong reality. I'll look for the right answer so that I get it right. Questions open up the system. I probably didn't start asking questions until the last 3 years. I would never ask a question. I would sit in classes, pay thousands and thousands and thousands. I mean, literally like $30,000 one year in classes and coaching and training, and not ask questions. And I thought that was like normal. But then there was the other people who could ask questions like continuously. And I was very envious of that. But what I realized was that I was so afraid to be wrong. It was so ingrained in me. So now I ask questions. And then some of them are those simple questions I'll give you. Some of the stuff I teach from Access, it's that silly question. What else is possible here? Like I didn't even have space in my world to even ask that question. So the answers would lock me in and freeze me. Instead of asking what's wrong with me, ask when it comes to nervous system, I'll ask what's actually happening right now in my system. I'll just that pause of that moment of like what's happening. Because even from like this call, my nervous system is spinning because I'm excited. It is fun to teach and that. But I've learned after I get off this call, where am I going to be? So just even that, like, where's my energy at? So again, this is the work that we do in the Aligned Woman's Path. Practicing awareness, regulation, and choice until it becomes you. That's probably the biggest thing I see with most women is the struggle of making a choice from so many different levels, from the right, the wrong, the caretaker, the people pleaser. Oh, I want women to choose themselves. But we have to learn how to choose ourselves. And when we choose ourselves from a place of not fighting and resisting and all of that, when we choose ourselves, the energy of ourselves, we're so much more available for everybody else. Okay, so it is kind of a backward thinking. If you choose yourself, you're selfish. We have to move through all those belief systems. A lot of this work is subconscious. It is deep. It is in there. I wrote this down. Real change doesn't, oh, this is another thing. Real change doesn't feel dramatic. It's quieter, clearer, and more spacious. When I put that down, I finally was able to describe my work because when you do therapy work, you're like totally emotional hangover after it. Okay. You're just like, I did therapy for like 10 years. I was so beat up. I was so shredded. It's the only thing. But I also liked the feeling of that abuse on myself. It was really weird. I learned, but the work today that's available instead of doing it that way is the change will be very fast. The change by you ladies choosing to show up to talk on an energetic level, even if you don't totally get it, you've already created change in your world. I am a facilitator of change and I create awareness in people's lives so they can shift. And it's so awesome. But you don't always feel it. All of a sudden, you'll be like a week later and you're like, oh, that person's not even bothering me anymore. I hated that person. I hated the way I reacted. All of that goes away. And then all of a sudden, you're like, wow, I actually have ease. I've expanded. And here's the thing with more spaciousness, not in my notes, is we want our system to learn that. But when we become spacious, it's freaking uncomfortable because we like to be full. We like to shove our space with drama, trauma, food, drink. I mean, just all of it. Fill it, fill it, fill it. Most of it, other people's shit. Fill it. Okay. And then we start to clear it. And that's the work we do in the Aligned Woman. There's ways I do that. There's way I teach you how to do that. And all of a sudden you're like, well, seriously walking around. And for a very long time in this work, I was bored. I was bored for about 2 years in the last few years, like because I had cleared so much. There's always more to clear, but I had cleared so much that everything was light and there was nothing going on. Nothing. And to me, that was something wrong because I was so used to being in that nervous system, adrenaline. So I just want to share that spaciousness, you filling the space that you are, is also very scary. And what we do is if we don't have the tools, we don't have the support, we don't have the trust of somebody, we fill it back up with stuff. And then we go back feeling the way that feels comfortable, even though we're leaking and we're exhausted. Okay. So it's a process and that's the courage work. It really does take courage to let it go and be that space of ease, that spaciousness. Okay. So we've talked about a lot. Look at my time here. I'm not going to put up my slide. It's too, but my slide says the cost of staying and the courage to choose differently. Okay. Right now is like this point of awareness for all of us. What is the cost of staying where I'm at? And am I willing to think or choose to choose something differently? Staying costs more than choosing differently will ever. We have a saying in program, you may have heard it. We stay even when we're sick and tired of being sick and tired. But until you're sick and tired of being sick and tired, you usually won't choose to change anything. Okay. That's the extreme of when we get sick and tired. A lot of us, 100%, was my body was sick and tired before I was actually ready to be sick and tired. And that looks like my autoimmune disease. That looks like my osteoporosis, taking shots for that. I mean, I did damage to my body by being in that state. I know that. It's okay. I'm an awareness. I'm healing it. I'm working on it. But it was like the unwillingness to be willing to change what I knew that if I changed, it would change my reality. It's scary work. But on the other end of that scary work, whatever, it's destroying and create the scary part, like it doesn't have to be, but I do know that's what comes up, is the change. the new identity shift. So because nothing changes until you're willing to see the cost of staying where you are. Okay. I mean, I will tell you that's a sales pitch for coaches, is teaching people, I'm going to be honest, to tell them to see that where you're at, being willing to stay there. Are you willing to stay there? Or are you willing to do what's required to change? Okay. But it's pretty common sense when you're ready. I want you to reframe yourself from awareness of being stuck, because when we're stuck, we often go into shame. I see this in network marketing meetings with women every day. I just want to put a little dust on their heads and move the shame out. We use shame to be stuck. If we weren't using that lower vibration, that energy, what else is possible? But also, staying where you're at doesn't mean failure either. Staying is if you're aware that you're staying somewhere, that's a whole different awareness. I used to say that with my organization. Try not to tell me that you're going to do something when you know you're not going to do it, because now you're in the cycle. And this is where women, I think the biggest thing I see with women is the lack of self-trust. We've set ourselves up so many times to do something that we knew we weren't going to do. Then we didn't do it while we knew we weren't going to do it. And now you're back into the loop. So, I mean, years ago, I said that to my organization. I'm like, would you be willing to actually acknowledge that you're not really going to do it? And if you acknowledge that you're not going to do it, you might actually have the space to do it, but then you don't go into the wrongness judgment cycle. And then I have to spend a week trying to get you out of that. That's why I left that particular thing. But now we even know it's the nervous system would not allow us to actually choose beyond what we were capable of choosing. So most women don't feel stuck. They feel tired. They feel like they're managing themselves, and they feel like they're constantly recalibrating. The cost emotionally, physically, spiritually, I mean, that's where I finally was like, I've got to do something so different than what I've been doing, because my body is checking out. So if you're ready to look at not reacting, feeling reactive all the time, second guessing yourself after conversations, do you remember that? I'm so glad so much of that does not happen in my head anymore, because it did, and it doesn't anymore. And some of us, I'll speak for myself, I do have mental things that I've had to work with my dyslexia, my ADD, my addiction. I mean, I have all of these chemically imbalanced tweakers. So, and I had worked on them, but there was so much more beyond that. So, that whole that's the whole brain. It's the whole nervous system. The cost for us mentally is overthinking, constantly the internal checking, difficulty trusting your own clarity. Most of the girls I talk to come to me because they want clarity. We have clarity. We're just not willing to look at our clarity. And the fear is that if you look at your clarity, you're going to have to change everything. You don't. But that's the shift right there. Being willing. What else do I want to say? Holding on to tension. If we're going to keep holding on to the intention, the fatigue, the nervous system never settling in. And this is where it comes for business. The cost of not changing in your life and your business is playing smaller than you know that you're capable of. Okay. I'm still working on that. Because every time my nervous system readjusts to feel a little bit safer, not like I'm going to die, not that I'm feeling too much. Most of my clients, you all are empaths. You feel things deeply, and learning how not to feel it, take it on, to know that it's not yours, will continue to expand my business and allow me to get out there more and help more other people understand this. But it's just a constant choosing of the next level. And leading from effort push, shove to alignment. And that's where I came up with the name of my course was alignment. Like, what is that? How do I become that? Um, what else do I want to say that? There's more notes, but I don't want to go into all of that. I did have a slide, not going to pull it up, but I want to tell you what the women, what their words are after I've done a bunch of testimonies. That these are the words that they're saying to me is after they've worked with me privately / or into the aligned woman, which is where I like women now because we're all creating the change together, is they feel calm in their body in a way they never have before. They don't spiral the way they used to. Even when something hard happens, it's such beautiful. My nervous system feels steadier and I recover faster. I have a bunch of them, but I trust myself now. I don't second guess everything. I feel like I'm finally leading my own life. Yay. And that has to do with a lot of energy work. Because most of where we're choosing from in our lives doesn't even belong to us. I'm not going to go into that, but 98, 95% statistically studied where we're functioning from does not belong to us. It's other people's points of views, thoughts, conclusions, but we've built it in as it's ours. So it feels really good to be leading your own life. And things that used to hijack me don't anymore. I thought that was a good one. And receiving feels safe. Yeah. And I don't overgive the way I used to. So I have about 40 different things that they've said, but that was just a couple. So that's what they're feeling after they complete this. So with that, I want to just invite you. Hopefully you're walking away with some, well, I know you are, some new awareness, some new ease, some new tools, some new consciousness. I'm going to go back to my view here so I can see everybody. Few of you are in the group right now in the Aligned Woman's Path. Some of you just graduated out. I hate to say graduated, but they finished the four-month cycle. Is nothing that we've talked about today requires you to do anything. That's what's going to be hard when you get off this call. Like, what do I need to do to change all this? It's not about doing, it's about just being in it. Like today, like that, let this awareness percolate up, let it kind of settle into the body. And what you've hopefully experienced today, I'm hoping, and is the space that you've noticed clarity does not require effort. Clarity is not effort. Okay. And hopefully, a lot of times when I speak, people will say, oh my God, you're totally in my head. You understand what I'm saying? I think Dawn just recently said that to me. And I only speak that because I know it and been there, done that, teaching that. So hopefully you've walked away with like, oh, like you're seen, you're totally seen. I get it. And also that the people that show up, it's not accidental. Our bodies know where to be because they get what they need to get. It's just our heads get in the way a lot of the times. Okay. And that today, maybe you felt like what it feels like to have when your system is supported as we talk through things so that you can continue to outcreate instead of being pushed the way that we used to do it. What else do I have in here that I want to share? We talked about the 4 pillars and basically an invitation today to the Aligned Woman Path. What I'll do is I'll send you all an email that has some of the information. It has all the information, and allow your body and your system to actually know what it is that it wants to choose. Um, there's nothing worse than doing a I mean, hardcore close at the end of something when your system is like, it feels good. So I will send you the email with some information. If you want to have a conversation, let's talk about what you're experiencing, what you would like to change. And in the 16 weeks, every month, we hit a different container: nervous system, identity, energy, and choice. I mean, and the third one is money, because the money is tied in to the nervous system, how your energy can receive it or it can't. And then we go into having, because anywhere, this is what I learned, and we'll kind of end here. I've learned a lot on my journey, but every time I judged myself, because judgment is what I use to survive. And here's the thing: no one ever knew that that's what I was doing, ever. Like, you didn't see it. I was always the perfect one, right? But inside, but every time I judged myself, I cut off myself from receiving. And when I started to dissect that, and I wondered why I could not create more in my business, all of them until now, it's because every time I judged myself, I cut off from receiving. And when you start to, and that's judgment of your body. It's just like the whole judgment. And I realized, oh my gosh, what's possibly here to stop that cycle. And not that it's not there still, but it does not run my every breath. Okay, that's just for me. So that's where the money comes into. What are you willing to ask for? What are you willing to receive? And then I realized, after I was willing to receive stuff, then I actually had to have it, because then I had a belief system that you could only have what you received. It's weird how it's just these layers, and they go away once you start to work on them. So that's my invitation to another next step with me. If you would choose that, we start September. We start next month, which is February the 5th, but that'll be all in your email. So I would love to open it up to whoever's left here. Thank you for staying all the way to the end. Love you too, Kim. Any questions that I can answer? Anything? Is there anything before we close out? Anything that Kim,
I
you want?
I just want to say thank you so much. I've done this work with you for a long time, and I think I just want to share a couple takeaways, if that's okay.
I would love it.
Okay, awesome. Um, so I think that change begins when your identity replaces reaction, was like getting clear on who you are, to yourself. And then one of the other big, huge ones was, uh, gosh, there were so many. Um, Oh, that real change doesn't feel dramatic, because I don't want to say a drama person, but I am dramatic in my personality. And so when I'm dramatic around anything, I feel like it's just who I am, inside. When people are like, wow, you're so loud, I'm like, yeah, I am. It's who I am,
Right,
and
right.
even if I don't say that, but I just loved that real change isn't dramatic, because
Mm,
it makes me feel like I don't have to do all this stuff to change and get out of the shame loophole that I should know this shit by now. What's my
exactly.
problem? So,
Oh, exactly what we just talked about.
yeah,
Kim and I have known each other how long?
like 30 years.
Yeah, and we've done the network marketing cycle together, and we honestly started this particular journey when I was divorcing my second husband. Yeah, and
Crazy.
that's where it was all of a sudden, in that journey of work, I'm like, I am doing everything right, but nothing's, I'm not, it's whatever. So I appreciate so many memories of us both changing and transforming, and we've done a lot of work, and you've done a lot of classes with me, so I appreciate it.
Thank you.
You're
Major
welcome.
growth. I
I love
appreciate
you.
it.
Okay.
Love you.
Anybody else have any questions? Experience, strength, hope? You got me. Yep.
There was something else that you shared when you said your identity isn't who you think you are. It's who your system believes you need to be safe.
Yeah.
That was really profound for me.
Yeah.
Um, and I think too, just to expand on that a little bit, is I think that people think they know who we are too. If that makes any sense, what I just said, like other people think that we know who we are. And as I been, like working, going on my journey,
Mhm.
and I'm becoming more of my authentic self and trying to be more myself and not be like this codependent person and say more of how I feel and I try not to do it in a harsh way or anything, but I think that sometimes people are surprised, like, oh, you just like said how you felt. And I don't mean to make that sound like silly or anything,
No,
but I think sometimes people are surprised, like
absolutely.
you're not supposed to say that,
Absolutely.
and so like people like have these norms that I don't know, you obviously know what I'm talking about, but I think that that's just like another layer of that
It,
also like comes to play with these types of things, like people's social expectations and stuff. And then, like, I don't know, like, I think I have people that know me or think they know me that as I'm growing and flourishing, I don't know that they're all that happy about it.
you're, well, you know that, you know, okay. Yes, 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 yes to all of that.
Do I care that much? Do I care that they're not happy about it? Not really, no.
Right,
But do I feel empathy for them that they don't get to experience the same kind of joy? Sure.
right.
But is it, it's like, I don't know. Anyway, I
But you're
just wanted
really
to share that.
tapping into everything we just talked about. And I used to teach nothing but the energetics of things. But I realized there was this other part. But what you're speaking at is, like I said, and we'll do just a little facilitation, 95%. Here's my saying. You're the pony, right? And on top is the pile of shit. Okay. On top of the pony called you is the pile of everybody else's piles. So everybody sees us, created this of what we are, and then we bought into it, and then that's how we function until we become conscious of like, wow, does that even belong to me? And that's part of one of the containers, or just itself. It's like I am functioning from belief systems, society, program, my job, lifetimes, generations. Some of this is so generational. And we're all of a sudden, wait a minute, that's not who I actually am. That's been my identity to
Yes.
survive. But I always knew it wasn't me. But now I really know. So, how do I clear it, step into my own beingness? And then the process of being willing to do that while allowing others to have their own points of view. I have a tool that I teach, and it's called Interesting Point of View. Um, Mirica says I'm talking to her. Is interesting. How do I say this? Our level of different growth is when we don't fight or resist what other people are saying or thinking or doing, and that where we are this own confident energy of who we actually be, where we're able to allow them. It's a tool. Interesting point of view of your point of view, interesting point of view of my point of view of your point of view, interesting point of view of my point of view of your point of view, because we're all doing this energy exchange trying to find ourselves. A lot of the growth requires us being willing to have people be mad at us, because you are changing the entire dynamics of how you set up the dynamics. It's basic 101 psychology stuff. But when we start to talk about energetically, when we see it, that's what I want my clients to tap into. It's not only just you're changing, you're seeing it. You're watching the cords come in. And then you're like, and this is for empaths.
Yeah.
We see it. We're like, oh my God, I'm corded everywhere. That is the work we will deeply go into so that everything that was pinging you, it's like, oh my gosh, it's coming in, it's going out. And so there's no fight, there's no resist, there's no align, there's no reaction. It's literally when I talk about the themes of consciousness, which I teach, there's levels of energy. And to get everybody to this neutral energy, their vibe, up to like this 200, 300 megahertz, which is what we do in the work, where you're just being and everything's happening.
That's so significant, Lene. That's really, thank you.
You're welcome. Yeah.
Yeah, that's significant because, like, when I've been in those circumstances with certain family members that I
Mm-hmm.
can see are really angry when I'm feeling comfortable and joyful,
Mm-hmm.
but they don't necessarily agree with my identity of who I am.
Mm-hmm.
I allow it to, like, I feel negative about that.
Yeah.
I allow that to affect me, and you're opening up that space, like saying, I'm wasting my energy to allow that.
Well, we don't know until we know.
Yeah, yeah,
And then having honestly the tools to continue because
right.
it's so easy. This is the work that I do so deeply that is so hard to put on the top of a flyer.
Sure.
Do you know what I mean? Let's get into it. But I thank you for this. And for those who maybe listen to the recording or stay, this is the nuts and bolts. How do I become aligned to the version of me that I'm choosing to be
Hmm.
while lovingly, I don't want to say disconnecting, but disconnecting because it's all energy. Everything is energy. And then consciousness truly is everything exists without judgment. That's what consciousness is to me. I'm a conscious, aligned woman who allows everything to just be.
Yeah, and I need to do my part for that too, and not like judge that person for like
Oh,
judging me.
it goes back and forth.
Yes, yes,
Until it doesn't.
yes.
And that's so thank you for that would be the top
That
of
was great.
the
Thank
work that
you.
I do. That's it. And almost all the women I work with, you're all empaths. You're all
Mhm.
intuitives. And we've come to a place in the last 10 years as I get ready to where we're now able to talk about what we are. I have struggled with
Yeah.
this since the moment I was born. And probably most of you, where I already knew what I knew, but what I knew I couldn't know, which
Hmm.
created just so much confusion. And and it is what it is. Um, and then then I have my addictions, and that all rolls into that. That's just how I was born. But that place of like now finding all of us and going, wait a minute, everything that you know, I want you to know that you know it. And I want you to be that. But it's the process of the work of like being that energetic, just powerful, potent woman. Um, just to get to where we're at, we had to be so amazing. Yeah. So if we're doing this work over here, being amazing, imagine what's possible as the infinite being, the pony, the infinite being, you know, um, and so much of it's generational.
Yeah.
Yeah. 95% of the work that we do is from our moms, but it's from their moms and it's from their moms. Um, so there's not, I mean, I used to think there was such a wrongness about that, but it's like, wait a minute, it's just the path. So, but that's where we go. Where did it come from? It's generational, lifetimes, layers, and all that. And that's in the group where we will actually literally, I will clear all of those cords, all of it. We will clear it until it literally no longer exists. And then you're like, oh, I'm free on another level. Okay, great question. Anybody else? Got a few more minutes. Questions are great. Anything else? Dawn's trying to unhook. Let's see. Try to unmute. Ask to unmute. Go ahead, Dawn.
So I really identified when you talked about the fight and flight. And then there's other people that just stop, and they, I think this is very much a learned behavior, but it's something that I do regularly. Rather than saying what I think or how I feel, I I just allow someone else to share what they think or they feel, and then I don't voice my opinion because it's wrong.
Right, right.
I mean, intellectually, I know that's not so, but I need to know that in my being.
Right. And that's the cycle. Those are the loops that we're doing. Dawn's in the aligned woman. She starts with us that. Jennifer's in it right now. She's in her 3rd month. So it kind of sometimes cycles around, but that's exactly what we're doing, Dawn. And I've had to remind Dawn too that consciousness work, there is no beginning and there is no end. And it's really frustrating because you want to come in with an agenda. Tell me what to do, and then I will finish it. We pop into this work wherever we pop in. And that's sometimes the part of that first month or so. It's like, I'm not getting this right because there's a belief that if I get it right, then I'll be okay. No, we're okay now. We just have to actually be okay, safe in our system. So thank you, Dawn. Hope that answered. All righty, ladies. Anything else before we tap out?
Just gratitude. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
You're welcome, Jennifer. You're welcome, welcome. Anything you want to add to your experience in the aligned woman? Well, I've got you. Can I use you as a free advertisement?
Nothing's free, baby.
I know.
I have so much gratitude. I am a big note taker, but I'm also journaling while I'm listening to you and journaling about what you're saying. And a few things came to mind today. The cost of overwhelm, the cost of not resting, the cost of production, the cost of feeling like I have to keep going all the time, do more, do more, do more. That's I was taught that. And my relationships with my family and my friends have changed because of the work that I have done in this program. My anger has changed. My physical pain has changed. I'm learning to use tools to work through things and to think through things rather than just do it.
React.
Yeah, just react.
From reaction to calm, confidence, and clarity.
Get it done. Just get it done. Why can't you just get it done? No, that's not where I am right now.
Exactly. Thank you. Appreciate
so,
that.
No, it's been a big shift. It's been a very big shift and a very good, joyful, shocking, how the heck did I get here shift? But very good.
Good.
So,
thank you.
I'd like for more of that.
More of that, please.
More of that, baby.
All righty.
More of that.
Thank you, ladies. You will get an email that you can go and check out that. And no matter what, thank you so much for being here, for trusting me, the willingness to show up just the way you are, and to continue to explore new stuff together. So, yes. All righty. Peace out, everybody. Talk to you later. Bye.